Inshallah, we'll be completing the 20th juz today, leaving us with only 10 juz left. SubhanAllah, as time just flies by. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our taraweeh, our qiyam, our siyam, and all of our ibadat. A great portion of what we'll be reciting today is the story of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. Musa alayhi salam is the prophet who's mentioned the most in the Quran, but in the 20th juz, the incident is in much more detail than the other places in the Quran. Connecting to yesterday's topic, I wanted to just go through one part of his life, which took place after the incident with the person from Bani Israel and one from his own people. When he hit the person, and then the person was killed, and then the next day or the next time he sees that same person fighting again, and that person exposes him that that last time you hit that person, you're going to do the same thing to me. This incident became exposed, and then Fir'aun found out, and then he sent his people after Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, and Musa alayhi salam had to leave and escape, and he went towards Madian. When he got to Madian, he came to the waters of Madian, and he seen that there was a large group of people that were feeding their animals. They were giving water to their animals. And then he saw one flock that was guarded by two women, and he noticed that they were staying a little bit back. So he asked, he says, قَالَ مَا خَطْبُكُمَا? That what's the story, what's the situation? Like, why are you guys staying back? And they explained that, our father is old, this is, the task that we have to do, and because there are men there, they did not want to mix in with them, and they wanted to wait until they finish and then they would go. The Mufassirin, from their response, they pick up a beautiful point, that even though at that time hijab was not enjoined, it wasn't enforced at that time, still they had the spirit and the essence of hijab, which was they had the modesty and the bashfulness that they did not want to mix with the others in that situation. So that's why they would stay back, and it would take them longer, and then they would get home much later as well. When the people left from there, Musa alayhi salam helped them get water to their flock. When the people would leave, they would cover the well. This well was covered by a stone that required about 10 people to move it, just so that no one moved the stone and no animals fell in, and to protect the water. Musa alayhi salam, he moved that stone on his own. He moved it on his own. He provided the water to the animals, and then they went back. When they went back, the father asked, how did you come back so early? So they explained what happened, that there was this person, he asked us our situation, then he helped us, and he did this and that. So the father, who majority of the scholars say that this is Shuaib alayhi salatu wassalam, he said, call this person. He was elderly, so he couldn't go, so he sent one of the daughters. That brings us to the second point. The Quran mentions فَجَاءَتْهُ إِحْدَاهُمَا تَمْشِي عَلَى اسْتِحْيَاءٍ, that the daughter, she came and to approach Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and to call him. And the Quran explains that how did she come to him? Right? تَمْشِي عَلَى اسْتِحْيَاءٍ, that she was walking with shyness. And under this, the fuqaha and the mufassirin mention that if a person needs to talk to another stranger, there's a need, there's a requirement, there is some situation, then it is permissible but on the condition of istihya, that there is modesty, that there is, it's not a comfortable, friendly, get to know one another situation. It's a professional setting, a professional way of approaching with modesty from both sides, whether male or female. In this case, in this scenario, it was the daughter had to come because the father was too old. So she approached with, as the Quran says, al-istihya, with shame, with being shy, having modesty. She approached Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and she told him that my father is calling you. Now, when she says this, Musa alayhi salam told her that to walk behind, because he didn't want his glance to fall on her. So he told her to walk behind and give directions from behind, meaning to speak and tell me where to go. No, don't stay in front of me and guide me, because then of course then he would see her. This was the example of the prophets. This was the way of showing how the interaction should be. Not unnecessary glancing, unnecessary looking, right? And of course that leads to thoughts, and shaitan comes and affects the heart. These are things that when we talk about them, they seem so like, this is such a stretch, something so abnormal. Even though this is what the Sharia is teaching us, that at each time a person needs to be conscious of their gaze, right? Even in necessary and dire situations. In this case, he told her that, okay, you give me directions and you follow me from behind and just tell me where to go. Then the daughters, they also explained to the father that, we should hire this person. Why should we hire him? And this is, they said something with profound wisdom, that inna khayra man ista'jarta al-qawiyyu al-amin. That when you hire someone, you should have someone who is strong and someone who is trustworthy. How did they know he was strong? Because he moved that rock on his own. A rock that required 10 people to move, he moved it on his own. And how did they know he was a trustworthy person, a reliable person? Because of his character, because of the way he dealt with them, because of the way that he told her that follow me from behind. Right? This automatically showed his character. So the daughters, they said this to the father, and the father was considering this. When he was considering this, he gave a proposition to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. He gave an offer. He says that inni uridu an unkihaka ihda ibnatayya hatayn. That I want you to marry one of my daughters, right? And this is just a discussion. It's not like, right? They're just having a discussion at this point. This is not a nikah proposal. And that's why he said it, one of the daughters. If it was a nikah proposal, he would have to specify. He said that I want you to marry one of my daughters, and then he made the proposal that you would work with us for 8 years or 10 years, right? And then after that, then he can extend it even longer after that as well. I'm not going to go into the rest of the story because we don't have time, but over here, one important fact that we understand and we realize is that in our society nowadays, many times we make marriage very difficult. Extremely difficult. And the more difficult we make marriage, the more common zina and illicit relationships will become. This is a fact, and this is happening throughout the world, all around us. We have so many requirements, right? When she said, Qawiyul Amin, Musa is strong and trustworthy, did he ask what degree does he have though? Did you check with him that if he studied engineering or he became a doctor? Did you see how much investments and how much assets does he have? Who is his family members? Who is this? Who is that? Right. Another beautiful point that the Mufassirin mention over here is that this shows that even a proposal or the idea can come from the guardian of the girl's side as well. This is another thing in our cultures that we have, that it doesn't matter if there's a good, suitable person, we're not going to ask, because that guy, it's the male's responsibility to ask, and the girl is not going to say anything. There is so many lessons to be found in this. But just the importance and understanding that we have to make marriage easier. We have made it too difficult, and because of this, right, people either are avoiding getting married, or they are, bypassing the nikah and going for haram relationships. Or for those who are conscious and want to still get married, but the parents are being difficult many times, what happens is the nikah doesn't get bypassed, but the parents get bypassed. You know how many times I get approached with, if Sheikh, would you be able to do a nikah in the basement, or in this place, or in this, in this hall, or not a hall, or like in a small room, basically a low-key nikah. The parents they're not on board, we're going to move forward with it, whether they want it or not. This is something that we have to be, we have to open up our minds. We cannot be so close-minded and narrow-minded. Because the need is there. Our children are going out in society, and they are interacting with one another. Right? This is even in a halal manner. They still have to, if they're doing assignments, group projects, your classmates, workplaces. There is going to be interactions. There is going to be thoughts. There are going to be desires. Right? We cannot just shut it down and say, oh no, until you have this much bank balance, or until you finish your studies, or until this. The parents have added so many restrictions and standards. Right? And then the standards keep going, and they reach one thing, they're like, oh, you're still not ready. The person was ready 5-10 years ago. They already had a girlfriend. They already did zina. The father is still like, oh, it's okay. You're gonna wait another 5 years. These are real scenarios I'm talking about. I don't want to say too much detail because people can get exposed. But these are real scenarios that are happening in our communities, in our societies. SubhanAllah, we're over time, but we'll leave it like that. We'll leave it at that. That as parents, we need to be open-minded. We need to have these conversations with our kids. Whether we like it or not, it's going to happen behind our back. We rather be involved than get bypassed. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all tawfiq to act upon what has been said. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make marriages easy once again, simple once again. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all from haram. Ameen wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.